In the last session we have started with the method overriding concept. Okay, so yesterday we have talked about the covariant return type. So did you spend some time on that concept? What is covariant return type? Are you able to understand now what is covariant return type?
Yes.
Okay, Nikunj, can you explain what is covariant return type? Yes, in your word you can explain like whatever you understood.
Yes मॅम ओव्हररायडिंग मध्ये जे आहे ना मॅम सेम मेथडने मॅम सेम नंबर ऑफ पॅरामीटर असतील आणि जर पॅरेंट क्लास मध्ये जर तीच मेथड आहे सेम आणि चाइल्ड क्लास मध्ये पण ती सेम मेथडने मॅम रिटर्न टाइप पण जर सेम असतील पण आपल्याला जर चाइल्ड क्लास मध्ये रिटर्न टाइप वेगळा द्यायचा असेल तर कोव्हेरियंट रिटर्न टाइप यूज करते. तर त्या कोव्हेरियंट रिटर्न टाइप मध्ये काय राहते की अगोदर जेडीकेचं व्हर्जन जेडीके 5.0च्या अगोदर हे जे पॉसिबल नव्हतं पण जेडीके 5.0 च्या नंतर कोव्हेरियंट रिटर्न टाइप नुसार आपल्याला हे करायला येते. जसे की ऑब्जेक्ट हा जो आहे ते सगळ्या क्लासेसचा पॅरेंट क्लास असते. तर पॅरेंट क्लासमध्ये जर आपण मेथडचा रिटर्न टाइप जर ऑब्जेक्ट घेतला तर आपण त्याचे सब टाइप जसे की स्ट्रिंग इंट स्ट्रिंग बफर हे जे काही त्याचे सब टाइप आहेत तर ते आपण क्लासच्या मेथडचा रिटर्न टाइप घेऊ शकतो आणि हे फक्त जे आहे ते फक्त नॉन प्रिमिटिव्ह डेटा टाइप वर वर्क होते.
Okay, okay. Deepali, can you explain in your word what is covariant return type?
Before JDK 5.0, it was not possible to change the return type in an override method. After JDK 5.0, it is possible to change the return type of overriding method. But in child class, return is subtype of a parent class return. आणि म्हणजे ते निकुंजला जसं एक्झाम्पल सांगितलं तसं म्हणजे ऑब्जेक्ट हा ऑल क्लासेसचा पॅरेंट क्लास आहे तो आपण पॅरेंट क्लास मध्ये ऍज अ रिटर्न टाइप म्हणून यूज करू शकतो. आणि चाइल्ड क्लास मध्ये जे पॅरेंट ऑब्जेक्ट क्लास थ्रू जे एक्सटेंड झाले ते आपण चाइल्ड क्लास मध्ये यूज करू शकतो. फक्त बट ऑब्जेक्ट हा चाइल्ड क्लास मध्ये रिटर्न टाइप म्हणून.
Okay, okay, perfect. Om, can you explain once? Just explain me what
Yes,
is
ma'am.
covariant return type.
येस मॅम कोव्हेरियंट रिटर्न टाइप्स मध्ये आपण ज्यावेळेस एक मेथड ओव्हरराइड करतो तर त्या मेथडला जे रिटर्न टाइप देतोय ते रिटर्न टाइप जे मेन मेथड आहे त्या मेन मेथड मधल्या ज्या मेथडचं रिटर्न टाइप आहे त्याचा सब क्लास सुद्धा असू शकतो.
Okay, okay. So fine. So I consider that you all understood what is covariant return type. Okay. Now let me open the IntelliJ. Okay, and let's take one example. We already talked about it, but let's start with that. Okay, just to refresh. So see here we have one class parent and one class child. Okay, now inside the parent if I take one method, let's suppose public object m1. Okay, so this m1 method is returning a type object and object is a parent of all the classes. Okay, now here let me return, let's suppose maybe string. We can actually here we can return anything. Okay, so if you return like null, you can return number, you can return float, you can return string, because all of these are subclasses of object. Okay, so let me return here maybe abc. Okay, now the same method I want to override in the child class. Okay, so how we can write here also maybe public, and as we want to override, so I have taken the same return type, and then method name should be same and number of parameters should be same. Okay, as here the return type is object, you need to return something, otherwise it will give the compile time error. Okay, so here also let me return maybe pqr. Okay, so in this case the method overriding meaning is that you have the exactly same method, whatever you have written inside the parent class, exactly same method you are having inside the child class. Only the difference is the implementation. So here you are returning ABC, here you are returning PQR. Okay, only implementation is different. And if you have the method exactly same and only the implementation is different, then you call it as a method overriding. Okay, now inside the method overriding, before Java 1.4 or 1.5, we had the rule that your overriding method should have the exactly same name, should have the exactly same number of parameters or type of parameters. Okay, also it should have exactly same return type. Okay, but now after 1.4, from 1.5 version, they have introduced one feature where they are saying that if you want to use the covariant return type, then also it is fine. If you want to use the same return type like object and here also object, then it's perfectly fine. But if you want to return the covariant return types, covariant means if you have the object class here and you want to use the covariant, meaning is that all the subclasses of the object. Okay, so we have the subclass of the object as a string, so we can use string here, we will not get any error. Even you can use integer here. See here, why? Because integer is the child class of the object. Now here we are getting error because you are returning the integer and here you have returned the string. Okay, so here you need to change from string to number. Okay, so this way you can override the method. Okay, I hope you are clear with the covariant return type now. Okay, now related to the method overriding, we have covered method name, number of parameters and return type. Okay, now the other thing which is pending is the access modifier. Okay, now if I open the whiteboard here, let's talk about the access modifier. Okay, so let's take the same example. Let me change the color. So here let's suppose I have same like a class parent, and inside this parent class let's take one method public and maybe void m1. Okay, this is my method which I have inside my parent class. Now let's create one child class. So this is our child class and this child class will extend all the properties from parent class. So inside the child class also we will be writing the same method as we want to override it. Okay, so m1. So this method we have overridden inside the child class. Now we need to understand, should means here do we have any rule, like if you have the public access modifier in the parent class, then it should be same in a child class or not. Okay, so you need to understand that if you have the public as a access modifier inside the parent class, okay, then inside the child class you can use public as it is. Okay, or you can use the other access modifiers as well. But other means which one? See, public means what? Highest visibility, right? When we are talking about the public access modifier, we already discussed that public means you can access that method or you can access that class or variable anywhere, right? Now we have protected. Protected means what? You can access in the same class, same package, or if you want to access in the another package or outside the package, then through inheritance you can access it, right? Do you remember about the protected? Anyone? Hello?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you remember about the protected access modifier?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you repeat what is protected?
Inside the class current package.
Inside the class?
Protected access modifier usually inside the class current package and outside the package inheritance.
Okay.
पण फक्त इनहेरिटन्स यूज करताना.
Yes. So see, we have public, protected, private, okay, and default, right?
Yes.
So here if you see, okay, private means what? Lowest visibility, right? Because private means you can access only within that class, even you cannot access outside the class, right? Public means what? Highest visibility. Protected means what? You can access in the current class, current package, outside the package also through inheritance. And default means what? Only within the class and within the package, right? So if you see, highest visibility is to the public, second highest visibility is to the protected, then to the default, and the lowest is to the private, right? So whenever we are overriding the method, that time you just think about the priorities, okay? So here for the parent class method, if you have the public as a access modifier, then for the child class, when you are overriding the method, that time you can use public or protected or default, okay? Regarding this private we will talk, okay, after some time, but you cannot use a private in the method overriding, okay? Just a minute. Okay. Okay, so inside the method overriding, you just we don't have to talk about the private for now. So let's talk about the public, protected, and default. So if you have the public in the parent as a parent class method as a access modifier, then you can use public, protected, or default. Okay, let's suppose inside the parent class return type is protected. Okay, so from the protected you can use default, okay, because default is having the lowest priority than the protected. So for the protected you can use protected or default, okay, but here you cannot use public because protected is having the second priority and public is having the highest priority, okay? So you can degrade the access or you can degrade the access modifiers, but you cannot upgrade it. Upgrade means if you have the priority as a 1, then it will be like public or any other access modifiers, but if you have the protected, it means you can use protected and all the access modifier which are having the lowest priority than protected. So protected and default you can use, but for the protected access modifier you cannot use as a public, okay? How? Let me just show you here. So if we just close this and come here in the IntelliJ. See here, let's suppose here we are overriding the method. Let me take the return type as a void, okay? And here also let's write public void m1, okay? So see here we have the return type as a public, and here also we have the return type as a public. So it will not give any compile time error, Okay, instead of public, if you use the protected, see here, let me just see what is the error. Attempting to assign the weaker access. Okay, sorry, I think I have explained you in the reverse. Okay, so see, for the parent, let's suppose for the parent, if you have the protected, okay, then here you can increase the priority. So let's suppose here you have the protected in the parent, then whenever you are overriding in the child class, that time you can use the highest access modifier, not the lowest one. So if you have the protected in the parent class, then in the child class you can use public. Okay, but you cannot use default. Why? Because default is having the lowest priority than the protected. See here, we are getting the error. Attempting to assign a weaker access privileges. Weaker means what? From the protected is having the high privilege or high access, but default is having the lower access. Okay, so from the protected you can do public. See here, as soon as we write the public, error will be gone. Okay, so from protected to public we can do. From public to public we can do. If we have the same access modifiers, then there is no issue. From the protected to protected you can do without any issue. Okay, then if you don't have any access modifier, then it will be by default the default access modifier. Okay, so from the default access modifier you can enhance to public, because public is having the higher privileges than the default. Okay, so here you can use public or you can use protected as well. See here, right? Now if I just correct you, in the parent you can have the lowest one, in the child you can have the highest one. Okay, never in the child, when you are overriding the method, you don't have to make that method weaker means you cannot assign the weak access modifiers. Okay, so in the parent, if you have a default access modifier, then inside the child you can use public or you can use protected or you can use default as it is. Okay, now inside the parent, if you have the public, then inside the child you should use only public, because public is having the highest priority. Okay, then if you are using protected in your parent class, then inside the child class you can use protected as it is or public. You cannot use default here. You cannot degrade the access modifiers. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone? You just need to remember this. Okay, maybe we can just
Yes, ma'am.
confuse between this. Okay, so just remember that in the parent class you should use the lowest one, and whenever you are overriding the method inside the child class you cannot degrade it, you just have to upgrade, means you cannot use the lowest access modifier. Okay, so that's the rule about the access modifier. Okay, now let's go to the notes. Okay, let me just see what are the points I have for you. Okay, so see, we had started with the polymorphism. Okay, so polymorphism means what? Same name, different forms. Now how we can achieve the polymorphism? Method overloading and method overriding. Okay, now the another name for the method overloading is a static or compile time polymorphism, and for the method overriding it is runtime or dynamic polymorphism. Okay, now we have talked about the method overriding. What is method overriding? See here, When you have two or more methods having the same function name, same signature and same return type is called overridden methods. Okay, so here your method name, your method signature and your return type should be same. Then the scope of the overridden methods. Scope means what? Method overriding will come in the picture only when you have the parent and child relationship. If you don't have the parent and child relationship, then there is no method overriding concept. Why? Because overriding means what? You are overriding from parent to child, right? If you don't have that relationship, then how you will able to override the method? Okay, so that's the reason you need to just remember this second point. The scope of overridden methods should be different. That is, all the overridden methods should present in the inherited classes. Means whatever method you are overriding, that method should be in the child class. Okay, so you are overriding the method from parent to child. Then third point is that if the subclass provides the specific implementation of the method that has been provided by the superclass is known as a method overriding. Meaning is that if you have one method inside your parent class and you are providing some different implementation in your child class, then you call that method as a method overriding. Okay, now why we are using the method overriding? So method overriding is used to achieve the runtime polymorphism. Runtime polymorphism means what? In the method overriding, which method will get called is decided at the time of, like whenever you are running your program. So at runtime it will get decided that which method will get called. Clear? Are you clear with these 3-4 points?
Yes.
Anyone have any confusion? Any point is not like understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Now we have talked about rules of method overriding as well. So what are the rules we have? See here, very first rule we have talked about the return type. Return type of overridden method must be compatible with the method being overridden. Whatever method you are overriding, so there the compatibility should be there. Meaning is that if you are overriding the primitive data type, then the return type should be primitive. If you are overriding any other data types, then it should be as the same. Okay, now another thing is that here I think I have not mentioned about the covariant, but you can use the covariant return types as well. Okay, if you have the object as a return type in your parent class, then you can use the string buffer, number, float, long or any wrapper classes as a child class in your, as a like inside your child class you can use those return types. Okay, for that method which you are overriding. Okay, now the second point is that you must not reduce the visibility of method while overriding. You must not reduce means what? If you have public as a access modifier in your parent class, then you can always like upgrade it, but you cannot reduce the visibility. Example is that, let's suppose inside the parent class you have the access modifier as a protected. Okay, so from the protected you can always go to public, right? But you cannot go to default. If you write the default as an access modifier inside your child class, then what you are doing? You are reducing the visibility. Okay, so you don't have to reduce it, you just have to increase it. That is the second point. Okay, now the third point is that you cannot increase the scope of exceptions while overriding the method with throws clause. Okay, so this last point you don't have to understand now. When we start with the exception handling, that time I will explain you what is the connection between method overriding and exception. Okay, are you clear with all the points? What is polymorphism, how we can achieve the polymorphism, what is method overriding, what are the rules we have for the method overriding. Are we clear with this?
Yes.
Okay, now let's go to the next one. Okay, here I think I have mentioned about the covariant return type. What is the meaning of covariant return type? It means if subclass overrides any method, then return type of this overriding method can be subclass of return type of the base class. Whatever return types you have for the base class, you can use the subtypes or child of those return types. Example, we have given the same like object to string. Okay, that is covariant return type. Now the next question is that can we override static methods and constructor in Java or not? Okay, now let's talk about this. Static methods and constructor. Okay, so let's open the whiteboard and delete this. So what is the question? Can we override static methods and constructor? Okay, so see here. Let's suppose I have one class, public class A. Okay, inside this class A, let's suppose I have one method, public static void m1. We have one static method inside the class A. Okay, now question is that can you override the static method or not? Okay, let's talk about the static method first. If I create here the another class, public class B, and this class extends the A class. Okay, now let's suppose here if I write public static void m1. Okay, what do you think what will happen? Whatever we have understood about the method overriding, do you think that this code will work or not? So this will this will be the compile time error, or it will work. What do you think? Anyone?
Not able to execute main method.
No, let's
Main
suppose
class.
here I have the main method as well. Let's suppose here I have the main method. There is no like, you can assume that we have the main method as well, and then we have this code like class A, then class B, this extend the A. Inside A we have the static method, inside B we have the static method. What do you think? It will give compile time error or not, or it will work without any issue?
Yes, ma'am. Give the compile.
Why?
Give the compile time.
Why do you think that it will give the compile time
Because
error?
it is a dynamic polymorphism. Because it is dynamic polymorphism.
Yes, dynamic polymorphism. But when it will give the error? Just a minute. Yes, when it will give the error, and what will be the error, do you think?
म्हणजे स्टॅटिक मेथड कॉल होते, म्हणजे आपल्याला स्टॅटिक मेथड कॉल करताना ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करण्याची गरज लागत नाही, आणि इथे आपण ऑब्जेक्ट क्रिएट करूनच ती मेथड कॉल करणार आहात ना.
Let's suppose inside this
जेव्हा
main
क्लास लोड
method,
होतो तेव्हा स्टॅटिक मेथड ऑटोमॅटिकली कॉल होते.
inside the main method, if I am writing A, creating the object of A class, then new A. Okay, then here I will call a dot m1 method, and let's suppose here I am creating object of B class, B is equal to new B, and here I will just use b dot m1 method. Then here I will create object of a class a1, okay, reference, and here we will create object of a class, sorry, object of b class, right? We can store the child class object inside the parent class reference, right? So at which line do you think that error will come? Do you want to answer? See here.
First line.
Okay, let me explain you. See here, inside the, like, we have learned about the method overriding, right? Method overriding, the another name of method overriding is runtime polymorphism. Meaning is that which method will get called is decided at runtime, right? So here everything is done at the time, at runtime only, right? See here, you are using the a class reference here and you are calling the method m1. So whatever object you have created, from that object only the method will get called. So here m1 method will get called from the a class. Here you have created object of the b, so here it will call the method from the b class, and here you are creating object of the b, okay. So when we have the method overriding, that time what should have happened? It should call the method from the b class, okay. But as we have these methods as a static means what? Everything will happen at compile time only, right? And in the compile time, we have discussed about the method overloading. So in the method overloading, which method will get called is decided at a compile time, at the time of class loading, right? So this static methods also will be loaded at the time of compilation, okay. So whenever we are compiling our code, that time this thing will not get checked, because this is a runtime activity, right? The compile time activity is that it will check that do we have the a class, and inside this a class do we have the m1 method. If we have this m1 method inside the a class, then compilation will be successful. Here also it will check do we have the b class, and inside the b class do we have the m1 method, then your compilation will be successful. Here also it will check do we have the a class, and inside a class only do we have the m1 method. It will never check for this b class, because this is not method overriding. The static methods we cannot override, because overriding means runtime polymorphism and static means compile time, right? That's the reason if someone asks you the question, can we override static methods or not, your answer should be no, we cannot override the static methods, okay. Now how? Let me just go to the IntelliJ and let me just show you this example. Let's suppose inside the parent class we have the same method public static, okay. And one more thing is that actually you will not get any compile time error here, okay. See here, public static void m1. See, if you are writing m1 method inside the parent class and same method you are writing inside the child class, then you will not get any compile time error. Why? Because here, like, there is no reason to get the compile time error. See here, when you create the object, let's suppose you are creating object of parent class, parent p is equal to new parent, right? So here what, at the compile time what we are checking only the syntax and the static thing. So see here what it will check, it will check do we have the parent class or not. So here we have the parent class, right? Only this thing will get checked when you are writing p dot m1, or sorry, p dot m1, okay. When you are writing p dot m1, that time it will only check that do we have the m1 method inside the parent class or not. Okay, so here inside the parent class we have the m1 method. So here your compile time issue will not come, right? Now let's suppose you are creating object of child class. So child c is equal to new child. Okay, whenever you are creating the object of child, that time also only the child class will get checked. Do we have this class or not? That's it. Then when you are writing here c dot m1, that time it will check do we have the m1 method inside the child class or not. If you see here inside the child class we have the m1 method, right? So it will not give any compile time error. If you remove this method, okay, then only see here if you are removing the method, that time what will happen, let me save this and let me go here to the m1 method and let's just remove this one, save the code. See here, now if you are removing the m1 method, then it is giving the compile time error. Why? Because this m1 method is not present inside your parent class. Also this m1 method is not present inside your child class. Okay, so now let's add these methods, and also let me add one like system.out.println, and maybe here we will write parent class m1 method. Okay, and same way here also let's write child class m1 method. Okay, now if I save this, okay, and here let me create one more object of the parent class. So parent p1, and here we will store the object of the child class, and here we will call p1.m1. okay, see here, now in the method overriding, always it will call the methods from this side. So first parent, then child, and then child, right? If we are talking about the method overriding. Okay, now let me save and show you what output we are getting. Okay, let's save, right click and run the program. See here, if you see, we have called p.m1, means what? Parent class m1 method. So first we are getting parent class m1 method. Now second time we have created object of the child class, and here also at the runtime object of child class got created, and here we got the output child class m1 method, right? Now at a line of 11 we have created reference of the parent class, but at a runtime the object of child class we have created, right? But if you see here, you are getting the output as a parent class m1. Why? Because when you are trying to override the static method, that time the which method will get called is decided at the time of compilation. For the static, always things will happen at the time of compilation, right? So in the compile time, only this parent class will get checked, and inside the parent class m1 method, right? That's the reason here also you are getting the output as a parent class m1 method. Are you clear? Are you able to understand the difference? And you see here, what is the output now? Parent, child, and parent. Okay, now if I just remove this static keyword, let's suppose I am removing this static keyword. Okay, now what do you think? What will be the output? What will be the output if we are removing the static keyword from the method? See here, now only we have public void m1, public void m1.
Child class m1.
First, what will be the output? Parent class m1, then child class m1, and here also child class m1, because this is method overriding, and method overriding object like which method needs to call will decide at runtime, right? So here at a runtime you are creating object of child, so always method will call from the child class. If I save this and execute the program, you will get the output as a parent, child and child. See here, parent, child, child. Are you able to understand the difference? Everyone? Dipali?
Static method.
Yes, Dipali?
जेव्हा आपण स्टॅटिक मेथड यूज करतो ना, म्हणजे ते पॅरेंट क्लास मधली मेथड कसं कॉल झाली ते सांगतो.
Okay, let me explain you again. Let's suppose here we have the static method, okay, and here also we have the static method. Okay, what I am like trying to make you understand is that for the static methods, which method need to call is decided at the time of compilation, right? Which object you are creating, based on that the method will get called. Okay, so see here, first we are creating the parent class object. If you see here, the reference is also of type parent, and we are creating object also of the parent class. That's the reason straightforward it will call the method from the parent class, right? Now here we are creating the reference of child class, and here also the object of child class. So very first it will check this m1 method inside the child class only, because you have the same type of reference and you have the same type of method, right? So here the child class method will get called. Now here, if you see, you have the reference of type parent, and at a runtime you are creating the object of child class. But for the static methods will get called at the time of compilation. When you are doing your class loading, that time only the methods will get called, right? So even if at a runtime you are creating the object of child class, that doesn't matter for the static methods. Static means what? Compile time polymorphism. Okay, so here at the time of compilation, this parent class reference we have created, so it will always check this m1 method from the parent class. Okay, that's the reason here also you will get the answer as a parent class. If we save and execute the program, you will get the same output, parent, child and parent. See here, parent, child and parent. Are you clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone, Nikunj?
येस मॅम.
ओम क्लियर आहे?
हो मॅम.
Okay. So if someone asks you, can we override the static method or not? Your answer should be no, we cannot override the static method. But we can write the same static method inside the like whatever method you have inside the parent class, you can write exactly same method inside the child class as well. Okay, and this concept where you are writing the same static method from the parent class inside the child class, so this concept we call it as a method hiding. Method hiding means what? Let's suppose, let me just remove these lines, okay, and save the code. See here, method hiding means what? When you are using, let's suppose inside the parent class I have one static method, exactly same static method we are writing inside our child class. So this concept we call it as a method hiding. Method hiding means what? This parent class will hide the method from the child class. See here, this m1 is hidden. Are you able to see? This is disabled and this m1 is enabled, meaning is that this parent class method is active, but this child class method is currently inactive, because this parent class just hided the method from the child class. Okay, so that is method hiding. When method hiding, when it will come in the picture, if you are using the same static method in a parent and child class, that time we call it as a method hiding, not method overriding. Okay, in the interview the question will start like, what is method overriding? Once you explain what is method overriding, then question will become like, can we override the static method or not? Your answer should be no, we cannot override the static method. Then they will show you this code, and they will ask you like, will this code work or it will give the compile time error? Okay, so maybe you will get confused. You can say like, it will give the compile time error, but no, there is no compilation error in this code. Okay, so now the next question will be, if this is not method overriding, then what is this, or what is the concept we call this scenario? Okay, so when you have the same static method in the parent and child class, that time you call it as a method hiding. And method hiding means what? Compile time polymorphism. Okay, and compile time polymorphism means what? Which method will get called is decided at the time of compilation. That's the reason whatever type of reference you have, based on that reference only only the method will get called, not based on the runtime object creation. Are we clear with this concept?
Yes, ma'am.
Everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
मॅम तो
Now,
लास्टचा सेंटेन्स परत एकदा रिपीट करतात का आता?
okay,
त्या मेथडला म्हणजे आता जे केलं त्याला काय म्हणतात तो वाला सेंटेन्स?
method hiding.
हा.
When we have the same static method inside the parent class and exactly same method inside the child class, then this concept we call it as a method hiding. And method hiding means what? Compile time polymorphism. And meaning of compile time polymorphism is what? Which method will get called is decided at the time of compilation. Okay, and at the compile time what will happen? Only these references will get checked, not these objects, right? So what type of reference, or on which reference you are calling the method, that matters in the compile time polymorphism. So here if you have the reference of P, it will call the method from P class only. Here if you have the reference of P, it will call the M1 method from P class only, even if you are creating the object of child class at the runtime, right? Even if you are creating any type of object at a runtime, it doesn't matter to the compile time polymorphism, because the compile time polymorphism will happen at the time of compilation only.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Clear to everyone, right?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. Now the another thing is that, can we override the constructor or not? Okay, as the same, we cannot override the static methods and we cannot override the constructor as well, right? Why we cannot override the constructor? See here, what is the purpose of constructor? Purpose of constructor is to initialize the values to the instance variables, right? Let's suppose here, let me just remove this thing. These are very important questions for the interview, okay, and these are very much confusing as well, so you need to pay more attention. So let's suppose here I am having the parent, okay, and here also let's suppose I am having the parent. See here, what it is saying: method invalid method declaration and return type required. See, in the method overriding, we have talked about the rules, and very much important rule is this one, the return type. Okay, so in the method overriding, the return type should be same or it can be covariant. Okay, but if we talk about the constructor, in the constructor, do we have the return type? What is the meaning of constructor and what is the syntax of the constructor? Anyone remember?
Yes, ma'am. Constructor name must be same as a class name. Don't have a return type.
Perfect. So if we don't have the return type, then will it come under method overriding? No, right? Because method overriding rule is that, see, what are the rules we have? Method name should be same, method arguments should be same, then method return type also should be same or covariant, right? But here we don't have the return type only, so this condition will not get satisfied. That's the reason there is no question that or we cannot override the constructor, because we cannot satisfy this rule of return type. Inside the constructor we don't have the return type. Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
This is very straightforward and easy. For the constructor we don't have the return type, so how we can override it? For the override, whenever we want to override something, we should have the return type, right? For the methods we should have the return type, so that we can use exactly same return type or covariant of that. Okay, so constructor also we cannot override. Now let me go here. Can we override static method and constructor in Java? Okay, if you are clear with this, for the today you have the homework. You just have to you can just note down this question and you can write the answer. Okay, you don't have to prepare it. You already understood what is static method and can we override it or not. What is constructor? Can we override the constructor or not? Okay, so for this question you need to write down in your notebook what whatever points we have discussed. Also you need to research on this and you have to write down all the points. Okay, and then we will see in the tomorrow's class. I will just review, or you can just write down all the points in your notebook and you can share the photo to me on the WhatsApp. Will you able to do that,
Yes, ma'am.
everyone?
Yes.
Okay, perfect. So this is the homework. Now the another question is that, can we override a protected method of superclass as a public method in the subclass? Can anyone answer this question? See, can we override the protected method of a superclass as a public method in the subclass or not? Om, what do you think?
Yes, ma'am, we can do.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay. Deepali, what do you think?
Yes, ma'am.
Nikunj?
No idea, ma'am.
No idea?
No.
See, we have explained, right? Can we override the protected method of the superclass? Meaning is that if I just open this one and close, what this question is saying, let's suppose here we have one parent class. Let's suppose public class parent. Inside this parent class, I have one method. Okay, access modifier is protected. Then here I am just writing void m1. Okay, now I have the another class. Let's suppose public class child. This child class extends parent class. Now the question is that can we override the protected method from the parent class to the child class as a public? It means can we write public void m1 here? Are you able to understand the question now, Nikunj?
Yes.
Okay, so question is that can you write instead of protected public here or not? Do you remember? We have explained this in today's class only. We can always increase the visibility, but we cannot reduce the visibility, right? So protected means what? Protected means you can access the members in current class, current package, and outside the package through inheritance. But public means what? You can access anywhere, right? So here you are increasing the visibility. That's the reason the answer is yes. You can override a protected method as a public in a child class. But you cannot do the reverse. Means if you have the public method in a parent class and if you try to override with protected, then it will give you compile time error. Why? Because public is having the highest priority, and now in the child you are making it protected. You are trying to reduce the visibility, and that is not allowed in the method overriding. Clear now, Nikunj?
Yes, ma'am.
Clear?
Yes.
Okay. So we have discussed about this point and this one. Can we override the private method or not? Okay, so let me explain you this. See, very simple. Private means what? Private means the scope of the private method or private variables will be only within that class, right? Not even to the child class. So let's suppose here you are having one method, maybe private void m1. Okay, so here I am having this private method m1 and scope of this m1 is only within this parent class. Even if you try to access this m1 in the child class, then also you will not able to do that, because private means private only inside the current class. You cannot access anywhere else. Okay, so now question is that can we override the private method or not? Okay, see here, if you don't have the access to this method only, then how you will able to override it, right? For the private members we don't have the access in a child class as well, so we cannot override also. See here, if I write here private void m1, what will happen? This m1 method is completely different and specific to parent class. This m1 method is completely different, specific to this child class, right? This m1 method is not having any scope or accessibility from the child class. Are you able to understand this first? Private means what, and can we access this m1 inside the child or not?
Yes, ma'am.
Right?
Yes.
Private means you already know that we cannot access outside the class. Okay, but you can create the method in the parent class, and same method you can create inside the child class as well. But now if you see here, when we create the object of the parent class, parent p is equal to new parent and p dot m1. Okay, so here what will happen? Okay, see here, why we are getting the error here? Anyone recognize why we are getting the error? If you pay the attention, you will able to answer the question. Why we are getting error at line number 9? Anyone?
Ma'am,
Yes.
private
Yes, Om?
नाही मला ते नाही येत.
Hmm?
नाही ते चुकत होतं.
Sorry?
नाही मॅम ते चुकत होतं आन्सर मी सांगायचं.
Okay, okay. Still, सांग काय म्हणत होतास?
मला वाटलं ते क्लासचं नाव वेगळं आहे त्यामुळे
Okay, okay.
नाही येतील बरोबर.
Okay. अजून दुसरं काही आन्सर? Any other point you remember? I just want to know how much attention you are giving to this session. Nikunj? Deepali? What do you think? Why this error is coming? See.
मॅम ते प्रायव्हेट मुळे का?
Yes. See, private means I already told you that only within the class, right? So this parent class, only this M1 is accessible inside the parent class. And here I am trying to access this inside the test class. Test is a different class. Parent is a different class. You cannot access it inside the test class. Okay. But you can create the object here in the child class. Okay, parent p is equal to, let's see, will he able to access here or not? P dot m1. See here, why we are not able to access inside the child class also?
Because it can access only parent class.
Yes,
We have to create the parent class object.
perfect. So you can create the parent class object inside the child class. Even you can create the parent class object inside the test class as well. But you cannot call this M1 method from anywhere else. Only you can call inside this parent class, right? So if you are not able to access the method only, then is there any question about the method overriding? No, right?
No.
So if someone asks you this question, can we override private method or not? Your answer should be no, we cannot override it. Why? Because private means only accessible within the class. Method overriding means we are overriding the method from parent to child class. But inside the child class, for the private members, we don't have any visibility. So we cannot override it as well. Okay, but we can write the separate methods inside the parent class and inside the child class. Clear, everyone?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay. So now, what is the next? How to prevent the method overriding? How we can prevent the method overriding? Prevent means if you don't want to do the method overriding, how you will prevent it? Just now we have discussed. If we are using
Private.
the private, yes, if we are using the private method, then we cannot do the method overriding. Okay, so one option is by using the private. Another option is final keyword. Okay, so we have not discussed about the final yet. So tomorrow I will start with the final keyword and we will see how we are preventing method overriding using the final keyword. Okay, so for now we are done with method overriding. Okay, major points I have covered. Now still 2-3 points are there. So in tomorrow's class we will start with the final keyword and all other remaining points. Okay, you for today you just need to note down this question: can we override static methods and constructor in Java? You have to write down the answer. Can we override protected method of the superclass as a public? That's okay, that is very much easy. Okay, then can we override private method? That is also easy. Okay, so only you have to write down the answer for this question. Okay, everyone note down this question or not?
Yes.
Yes, ma'am. Note down.
Okay, perfect. So for today maybe we can stop here, and tomorrow we will meet at 8:30 again, and you should be ready with that question. Okay, you can just write the answer and you just WhatsApp me. Okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay then. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, ma'am.